Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. World's Life is Strange podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I'm so here, dude. We're in a different setup completely. I know it's throwing everybody off. Spooky.
Spooky, only yes, spooky,
Yeah.
and we have spooky season. We're also in Life is Strange season officially because the early access is available, but we're not playing at the moment. So this episode will actually officially drop, I think, the day after that people have accessed the early episode, first two chapters. And fully enough, you might have actually completed them both as well, because I don't know why they're giving people 2 weeks access, but we'll come inside in the conversation. But yeah, if you are new here before, and as always, before we start, please do consider dropping and subscribing to the channel, turn notifications, like the video, and share with your friends. Help support the channel, help to keep up to date with all the content we do, from Life is Strange to Lost Records to many other things. So stay tuned for that. And StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So available on Spotify with a video version, available on Apple Podcasts, available on everything. So please do go and rate us. Please do subscribe to them, because you get your episodes as soon as they become instantly available. And on Spotify, we've now crossed 9,000 plays, which is amazing. So thank you so much for that. And we've also got 244 followers on Spotify alone, which is amazing, and 28 ratings, I believe, last time I checked. So please do rate us if you don't, because you help push us out to other people. Yeah. So, Adam, we got quite a lot of news topics to talk about. A lot of different things. Yes,
I just kind of stumble onto these shows, and I just never know.
Well, sometimes you do stumble, sometimes you don't. You stumbled this morning because I made the show notes very late, but I'm actually quite excited to talk about some of this because it's very varying. Before we start as well, I'll be very clear as well, because we're going to put this probably out on a post and our social stuff. We're not buying the Ultimate Edition. We made that very clear as well. We're not playing early access. If you have played it, don't comment in the comments and saying references and spoilers about things that we might mention that might conflict with what you've seen. Simple fact is those comments will get deleted. I'm not doing it in the sense that you can't talk about things. It's more about protecting other people, because I don't support the publisher that is doing this. I think it's a horrible, crooked little practice that they've done here. And the simple fact is I want people to go in as much transparency as they can in terms of they come here, get your podcast, you can enjoy it. You're not getting spoiled by content which you don't know about. And the simple fact is, I want you to go in there and enjoy that, whether you're excited or not. So if you have played it, please don't comment in the podcast in terms of like saying, I've played it and I've seen this, this, and that, because I don't mind getting spoiled, because, well, you can't really spoil me because I know what happens in the game anyway.
Yeah.
But like in itself, we will moderate the comments, so be very clear with that. So as always, we love hearing you. We love hearing you guys talk and give you mentions, because obviously we do have a comment in the podcast thing that we have in our section, in our show, but do not mention spoilers about Life is Strange Double Exposure, because they will be immediately deleted for people. So I want people to go and play this, because I think, again, we'll come into the bigger conversation about this. So Adam, should we kick things off with our first piece of news?
I love kicking people.
Yeah, so this is a little bit dated. I'm going to go screen share, and we'll obviously keep you in the loop as well for the audio listeners as well. And this is a little bit dated, but I did want to bring this in because it does feel like it's been a while since I've spoken to you, Adam, as well. I don't know why. It just feels like it's been quite a long time, unless a lot of things have happened. But this news really shook the internet. And this was like one of those, like, it was like, oh, and it's like, it finally fed certain people. They finally saw what they wanted to. So for context, have you seen this clip, Adam?
I have seen this clip, yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't, this was included in the interview with New Dad, who are on the OST for Double Exposure, and they included this very brief clip as well. So, and thankfully, obviously, as we are on Twitter, I've said this before, on Twitter, Facebook, everything, go and follow us, because we'll keep you up to date with all our content. We'll keep you up to date
Twitter,
with all the posts.
by the way?
Well, it's always Twitter as well. So this is the first piece, Adam, and this was basically a line that Hannah Tell says in the game, as Max Caulfield says, being able to rewind time has only caused me more problems and more heartbreak. And then she puts up the photo of Max and Chloe from Life is Strange 2. It's a different variation. It's not the same photo, as I've been blasted, made very clear in the comments as well. As you can scroll down here, that similar photo. It's basically in a photo from away. It's from Life is Strange 2. It's referencing that ending. So it's like, it was really like the first big piece of information people got about Chloe Price. And we'll talk about it in a second, because I'm going to add this onto here. And this actually happened today, because we're recording for context on Saturday, the 12th of October. And you'll be getting this on that Wednesday as usual in your spot, which was here, because I got this morning, Adam, in emails, which was who is the mysterious blue-haired girl Max keeps a photo of in her wallet. So obviously it's referring to the stuff we've already seen from Life is Strange, the live stream when they announced the game, which is that little moment where Max has the photo with Chloe Price, And then obviously they've alluded to the fact that Safi will have a conversation with Max in the game, and then you'll kind of like establish certain things that happen in the first game. The email also confirms that Safi, Max Caulfield, and Moses are the main characters of this game. And also as well, when you come down here as well, I actually took part in the survey, and I clicked on it. Nothing happens. You basically register. It's a poll. So it'll say with your email at the end of it saying you voted for this person, and nothing else happens. And I also mentioned here as well saying that there's no mention of Chloe Price in the email. So it's just a blue-haired girl they refer to. If I'm going to go down here as well, because I'm going to try and pull up one of the comments. Actually, it's not that one. Is it this one? Just checking if this changes as well. Yeah, as you can see there, with Glenn Hall, who replied saying, I just got one of these, check the URL. She has mentioned it. Part of it says in the URL, but the rest of it will have your personal emails, so be careful. Thank you for that as well, for the consideration. Yes. As you can see, we've quite often also as well, I use a lot of burner accounts, so it's not my personal emails to get sent to, so don't worry about that. You always got to be careful when you do journalism, and you've got to be very meticulous with your research with things. But as I said here as well, there's no actual mention of her in the actual email. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. There is in the URL, because I did go and double check that. And thank you, Glenn, for making me aware of that as well. But
yes,
Adam, obviously this answers a lot of hypotheses, theories, discussions we've had about Chloe Price, about Life is Strange. And I think we're going to be looking back on double exposure episodes over the last 4 or 5 months, I think, and we feel very they're
good about ourselves.
Well.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Personally speaking. And let me be clear about this as well, Adam, because I want to be very clear with my opinions about this. I don't want this game to fail. I don't want any Life is Strange game to fail, because if we have a Life is Strange game that fails, we lose a big part of history. Because, for example, I love Dead Rising, for example, and I have a friend who's a huge Dead Rising fan. And Dead Rising fans have finally gotten a bit of crumbs in terms of a remake, quote-unquote remake, remaster of Dead Rising.
I love that. That's a good way to put it, crumbs.
Yeah, well, it's what they've wanted for years, because after Dead Rising 4, they've not had anything. So people have been begging Capcom for a game, and they basically said, no. They're like, nope. It's like, we messed up here. We're not making another game. So, for example, if Life is Strange messes up, they could just turn around and be like, nope, we're done here. That's it. Life is Strange is going to go on the shelf, and it doesn't even mean they're going to sell the IP, for example, Square Enix. They could keep the IP forever, but we lose that then. And then obviously some people feel differently about Lost Records. There's no guaranteed success with that. Who knows where it goes? Could it really be Life is Strange 5? So I've never really wanted this game to fail. And it's like, even from my opinions, my takes, even your takes as well, it's been general frustration. It's been very general frustration, a lack of clear marketing, lack of clear direction, because even that early stuff as well that we saw, they were alluding that Chloe Price might play a bigger role in it. She might still play a bigger role, depending on what you see it, how you see it. But Jonathan Stauder, the game director, Felicia Kwan, the narrative director, have specifically reiterated, now said that this is a Safi timeline. So whatever you have in mention of Kate Marsh, of Max Caulfield, of Alyssa, of Chloe, of Victoria, these are only references. They're like reference points. And the way they've marketed it, even said she's the blue-haired girl.
Yes.
One, it's also
mysterious blue-haired girl.
Mysterious blue-haired girl, which is in the sense that they're doing it for the newcomers, because they're trying to make you build a history with Chloe Price, being like, who is she? I've never actually met her if I haven't played the game. But also as well, it just shows you where she's in the position. I've said this to you before. I've kind of told you things as well, Adam, that I know as well, that I've gone and digged up as well in terms of marketing, in terms of Chloe Price, the way that Square Enix perceive her. This aligns with what I've seen. So I'm not really that reactionary as other people are, online. But I was just curious, like, what you saw, because obviously Twitter went into a meltdown that day. I think Max and Chloe was trending for about 2 or 3 days. And then generally speaking, you kind of gave your take in the last episode when we were doing our comment of the day with her partner in time, talking about, would you be more excited about Max and Chloe game? So I just kind of was curious about like where you stood on this, because you've always said that you use Twitter a lot and you want people to follow you, yet you're never on it. But
well, thank you very much for mentioning that. I do want you to follow me, even though I won't post anything. I do appreciate the follows, but I stay away from social media. But I just need that clout, my guy. So first and foremost, speaking of Twitter, I would like to thank you for giving me the floor, and I would like to thank you for showing that Angel of Darkness is trending on X because of the remasters of 4, 5, and 6 of Tomb Raider. So I'm glad that people are going to be experiencing Angel of Darkness. I don't care how weird it is; it's one of the best ones.
Very casual, by the way, as well. Whether they just announced it,
I know it's like, oh, it's sold well. Here's more. Why'd you take the weird ones? It's like, I love how like, yeah, 1, 2, and 3 are definitely for your main market, but 4, 5, and 6, it's like that's when you get into the thick of it, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
To your point about this clip right here, I remember seeing this clip, and I remember thinking, just like, they are doing everything they possibly can to just say, like, yeah, don't worry, Chloe is in the game, but like you said, they don't really say Chloe Price, and they put it up on the wall. I believe, I want to say it was Pricefield, or if it was Life is 2D, but they pointed out that in Life is Strange, her hair is Life is Strange 2, her hair is green in that photo, but they made it blue. So it's like you had one job, just make it green, but they're trying to say, like, no, you remember the blue hair girl? She doesn't have green hair, it's blue. So I don't know, man. So
unless they're arguing that it's another photo and it's leading into that phase, so it's a bit earlier in that event, but I've got to play devil's advocate.
They're not in the room. They're not in the room. But yeah, no, I
code.
Yeah. No, I just think that Square is scrambling at this point. They have an IP that they don't understand, and they don't understand the significance of Chloe. I think they understood it when they called for a Chloe Price standalone game. That being Before the Storm.
Yeah.
I think they understood that people like Chloe, but then I don't know. It just feels like they tried to get both of them, and they're trying their best to like include Chloe without breaking any contracts or without breaking any like IP addresses. Because there's the thing that people don't understand about contracts, and especially IP contracts, is that it's a very, very, very thin line that sometimes you want to get to the other side of the line, but most of the time you just have to stick your toe on that line without being taken to court. So
yeah,
it feels to me like this is definitely one of those situations where they are putting their big toe on that line, you know?
Yeah, I because even that, I think one of the leaks said that Chloe could make a game appearance in the game. And it does raise the question that maybe there was an intention to start as a Chloe and Max game, because, like, as I've said to you before, in the Emma Vieceli comics, which we'll come on to later, the Emma Vieceli comics, the first cover, Max and Chloe are on the front cover, like the original, like without the actual graphic novel, like the big booklet, the first issue 1, Max and Chloe are on the front of it, and I think it's page 3, Chloe makes her first appearance, and that shows you can't basically write her out of the story because she's central to the story at that point. And at this point, they've just established that these 3 characters are the main characters, and anyone else is a passing. So even that next piece, which we'll come on to as well, which is about the suspects thing, it's like, that's just all new characters. There's no returning characters. There's no mention of anyone. So it's basically establishing that she's going to play a very, very minor role, if anything. And I don't honestly think the people who like Chloe Price, or even the people who picked that ending, are going to be happy in any way, shape, or form, because I don't think anything can happen that will make them feel any an ounce better about it, because they're basically going to play a game which is a completely different story, and she's not playing any major part, if anything else. I still think she'll be in it in certain capacities, because, like, Rihanna DeVries has worked in projects with them. As I've said before, Rihanna DeVries has worked on every project with Deck 9 since 2017, including The Expanse. Worked on all of them, has got hidden projects. It wouldn't surprise me if they got Rihanna DeVries to fill in where Ashley Birch has basically said, like, no, in what I think, if anything. But yeah, I kind of understand why. I think, like, now, I think the reality is going to set in for people. And again, as well, we warned you. We warned you for months. Like, I don't like saying I told you so, but I told you so. And it's like, that's where we're at. We've warned you repeatedly. We've been alluding to a lot of things. We've been saying things. Maybe one day we'll come out for other things as well, that even myself, that I know and stuff like that, because I've spoken to quite a few people now. But, like, yeah, it's hard for me to, like, kind of like microly, like, say, like, certain things that people be like, has your mood changed in this? And it's like, I know this down to, like, a development aspect, down to a marketing aspect, and it would raise your eyebrows about a lot of things. You'd be like, yeah. And I think, like, that's why I think the Chloe Price thing, I think Square Enix knew this was going to happen. Like, personally speaking, they just didn't see Chloe Price as marketable in terms of the wider market, because that's what they're attacking now. They're not going for people, like, they expect that Life is Strange fans will come back, but like, they're going to just feed you crumbs now. And they're looking at that new generation, the Gen Z, because it is a 9-year-old franchise now. And they brought Max back, and they think, well, actually, we might be able to get some new people in, and then they might go and play the first Life is Strange because there's a bit of history.
Yeah.
My perspective, if anything.
No, I like how he's saying like they're trying to reach Gen Z
Mm.
with this, and man, Gen Z game market is just it's different, man. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
they're trying their best in a new sort of gaming market, and they're doing their best, but man alive, do I see the writing on the wall here with the marketing?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think people will be in for a rude awakening, because I think even as well, just in perspective, I think Chloe does look like someone Gen Z would relate to, which is a bit strange, but
Yeah, yeah.
I like let me just say this as well, and I'll give you from my own inside perspective, my own inside sources, and this is stuff that I can't name people, but one
I
thing
will
is that
be over here.
the general perspective, when people keep saying that Square Enix would, when they're going to do something that's like, crazy, and it's like destroying their own franchise, they don't see it the same way you do. That's simple. They see it completely different. They're seeing it from a mass scale marketing, and their connection with the fandom isn't as strong as you think. It's not intertwined as it was in 2015. Like, for example, they cut Chloe from this game. They don't see Chloe as profitable as Max Caulfield. They see Max Caulfield as the cash cow of the franchise. Chloe Price has had a different perception in different parts of this marketing, which I've become very privy to, and it makes so much sense in terms of what they're trying to suggest, but it's not what the fandom want, and that's when it's like read the room situation. So like, yeah, again, like, I don't listen to other people who go like, well, it's going to be like this, and they throw casual things. I've done digging into this, and unfortunately I can't go on the record with certain people because their entire like livelihoods would be on the line and stuff, but I've heard enough where it's like, actually this makes a lot more sense in the sense of why they're acting the way they are. So again, like, let's see where you get to with the game when it comes out as well. As I said, maybe Chloe Price comes in and mows people down in a car. You never know. Adam, speaking of which, should we go into our next piece of news?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so we're going to pull you up on screen share again, and this was after a wave of news pieces that have come out from Square Enix about Life is Strange Double Exposure. As you can see, this is on their website, and it's who is the killer? Who's the killer in Life is Strange Double Exposure?
Ooh.
So we have a big piece that's now emerged from them, and they're basically turning it into Cluedo with Life is Strange attached to it, again, which is what I expected. So as you see, the murder victim is Safi here, and we've got a clear-cut case of suspects, Adam, as well. So no determining who's who. But as
Yes.
you've seen here, here's Vin Lang, who is the president of the Abraxas Society. They've basically gone full scale with that in the video, which has been released. We talked about it last time. We saw your reaction, which was like shock and awe to the fact that they revealed this. Moses is a apparent suspect as well, which is a bit okay. Amanda is there, and also as well, Adam, I'll direct you to here, which is that she has something of a crush on a certain out of town photographer. Goodbye, Chloe Price, as we've just mentioned in the last piece of news. Diamond Washington, Adam, this is one of the characters you were looking forward to, has emerged in the list of potential suspects. So that's another one. We've got Gwen Hunter, who I am actually looking very much forward to. The voice acting seems pretty amazing for Gwen, and I think this does seem like an interesting character. Loretta Rice, Adam, as well, who has her own true crime podcast, Get a Clue. Which, which, excuse me, StrangeCast is the definitive podcast, please. Move over, Loretta. Reggie Kagan as well, who's here in the suspects list. Lucas Colmenero, who's emerged as well, the Alan Wake-esque writer, who's a bit thingy. Detective Vince Alderman of the Vermont State Police is in here as well. And then finally, of course, we need to mention the cat, because why not? Because we're trying to sell the Ultimate Edition, which people have already bought. And Adam, can I direct you to one thing here?
You may
is the
not.
biggest irony. Well, I'm going to direct you anyway, because we're going to go full Square Enix here, which is this cat is temporarily adopted by Max and stays in her accommodation, Hellerton House, until Max can track down its owners. Eventually, it warms up to Max, who even chooses a nickname for it. So I'm going to end the screen share. So basically, in there, you get to buy cat content as part of your $30 early access, and then you give back the cat. Which I don't know if there's an irony of that, or if it's just pure capitalism, or it sums up where we're at in the world.
Yeah.
But I found that hilarious that basically you give back the cat after you've done this bit of content. Adam, I kind of wanted to ask you about this, because like I've kind of spoken about it like online as well. I've seen people go ape in terms of being like, there's so many spoilers that are coming about. This is happening. Why they're mentioning suspects and stuff. But as I kind of mentioned before, it's almost like Cluedo with Life is Strange as well. Is this what you expected for them to do?
Is this what I expected them to do, Square Enix?
Yeah.
Considering that it was Square Enix or Michelle Co. We don't know which one who spoiled the opening scene to Life is Strange 2.
Right, so
So yeah, it was Square. And then considering that they spoiled that Gabe died before you get to True Colors. Yeah, I think I expected them to do this. I'm pretty sure I expected them to do this. Yes.
yeah. The funny part is because as I said, I think I might have said on the other podcast, one of my friends played True Colors and he played the first chapter and he had no idea that Gabe died. So he was like, oh, that was a bit of a surprise. I was like, oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed
I'm
a
glad
bit of
you were
surprise.
surprised. Yeah.
I'm glad that you enjoyed that because I probably would have been surprised had they not told me. But yeah, they've straight up, as I've joked about as well, again, guys, I've very much alluded to supernatural murder mystery. Supernatural, as I've repeatedly said, that's the focus of this game. It's a murder mystery game with Max Caulfield in it. The coming of age story that I was told in the first game by different studios, not there. This is not going to be a massive character driven piece, even though the developers have repeatedly said it's about trauma, it's about this. I think that's just minor in terms of the bigger story arc, which is that basically they're telling a murder mystery game in the Life is Strange universe. And they've all the marketing has been directed towards that because even outside of Felicia Kwan, John Stauder, any of the Deck 9 developers, Square Enix has not focused anywhere near as much on Max's trauma, for example, or even like anything about her. They've always kind of directed their marketing on the wider picture, which is this murder mystery that's happening. And I'm kind of a bit disappointed by the fact that all the murder mystery elements are basically every new character is a suspect, which I'm a bit like, I don't know why they're all suspects, including Moses. That's like the biggest red herring ever, if anything. Yes. It would make no sense for Moses to be that. That would just be stupid. Watch the killer now.
Yeah, right.
No, it makes no sense. But I feel like you were right though with the conversation on the last podcast. You like if you weren't as plugged into this, you might enjoy it. But I think also as well, if you're plugged into the podcast, your expectations get set, which is a good thing as well, because the last thing you ever want to do is go into something with high expectations and then you come out feeling really flat because you come out being like, ugh. And it's like, that's not really what you want in your game. And yeah, I'm kind of like a little bit, I don't know how I feel about something. They've done like 3 videos, if anything, about the murder suspects. I think they've done Lucas, they've done Vin Lang, and they've done Gwen. Funnily enough, Gwen got leaked as well, leaked late at night, which you might have seen.
Yeah.
It got reposted by a certain someone. But as you said, first rule of journalism, that'll tell you what I learned. Always screenshot. Always screenshot and make evidence, because once it disappears, it disappears. So it's the first thing I always do with everything. Yeah, I'm not too sure, Adam, how I feel about the murder mystery part of this game. I think it might overwhelm a lot of the game until like maybe the last chapter, maybe.
Yeah, because I think here's what I'm thinking, and this is not something new that we've thought of. We've discussed this before, is that Square Enix believes that the Life is Strange franchise is a murder mystery, but that wasn't the case. It was a coming of age story that happened to be trying to search for, a missing girl. Saying like, oh, who done it? I don't think Life is Strange is meant to be like built around the mystery of Rachel Amber. I think it's meant to be these people are coming together because they're searching for a missing girl, and it's more talking about other people's perspectives and how life treats other people and how we need to be more empathetic for other people's situations. But it's all based upon the magnet of what it is. But to base an entire game to say that it is a murder mystery, who do you think done it? It's again, like what you said, it's not a game of Clue. We're not on what's the movie on the train, where's the murder mystery? I can't remember what it's called. Orient Express.
Murder Orient Express. Murder Orient Express.
Yeah, it's not the murder at Orient Express. This isn't that. Life is Strange was never that. I don't know, man.
It just feels very Cluedo, doesn't it? It's like,
who done it?
And I'm like, and I agree with you as well, because like that big like coming of age story, it feels so somber. Like talking the podcast, as I said this to Adam as well. Podcast, I was like, I'm just like looking forward to the point where we start mixing the content up on the podcast, where we talk about other games in the series and stuff. Because obviously our focus is just on double exposure at the minute, because we are in Life is Strange season. We're covering up to that point, and we will cover it, continue to cover it, whether we like it or not. But it's like, you know, it's like I can't see, like, how can you not see the optics of how red flaggish this is, like, in terms of all the stuff that's happening? I can't settle down thinking like something just doesn't feel right, you know. And I think other people keep saying, I've spoken to very prominent members of like Life is Strange community, not that they ever considered themselves that, but people who've been there for like long times have like messaged them privately and spoken to them, and even they feel a little bit like, you know, it's not even about like, oh, I want to play Lost Records more. It's just a bit like they're a bit like something just doesn't feel right. And it's like when you think about that as well, and as you said with the murder, I'm a bit like, yeah, there's something about it which I'm not like. I think people are going to feel quite. By the time you get to the 29th of October when it comes out as well, or the end of the month, whichever day it is, I think some people are going to feel quite disappointed in terms of like the amount of content they've been showing and how they've marketed as well. Because it's like when they put everyone on a murder suspect list, I'm like, fantastic. Yeah. It's like we're now going for like the full on, you know, way of like this is the murder victim and this is the murderer and this is the murderer. And it's like fantastic. And it's probably going to be like it's going to be the other timelines, other persons like you know that their neurovirgin, or what I can't remember how they describe the other person's personality in the other timeline. They're probably going to be the killer or something. But yeah, if anything, that's just I'm kind of like thinking, Adam, should we just quickly pull in our next piece as well because it does relate to that as well.
Definitely.
Because you did just watch this as well, and this accompanies what our last piece of news was, which was this is one of the trailers that dropped in the week that we're talking, which is a true crimes-esque podcast, true crimes-esque trailer that they've done. I'm not going to play it, but I just thought I'd pull it up here for you guys to see, and I'll close that as well. And Adam, you watched it just before we came on because you haven't been able to watch it because they've basically been pumping out marketing left, right, and center on this game so far. I will say, I thought the editing was really cool. I think the editing was quite nice, and I think it adds like a little bit of a nice flavor. That, for example, John Stauder and Felicia Kwan's voices over it, so it feels like it's a little bit more grounded with the developers who made the game. So it feels like they actually included a bit more. However, again, the tone doesn't feel Life is Strangey. Am I being too critical here? I feel like I'm being like a little bit.
You are absolutely not being too critical. In fact, I think you're being critical role. I think you're being a little dicey. No. Once again, I just think that they're missing the mark of what made Life is Strange so good. And what made Life is Strange good, once again, it's not about the murder mystery. It's about the people around there and getting life perspective. So I don't know. Once again, one cool soundtrack on the trailer. Great soundtrack.
Of course.
It's really nice.
Love Tessa.
Yes. But man,
it's hard, isn't it?
Murder mysteries are really hard to do because you do have to write them backwards. And to make a really good murder mystery, you have to think about every single red herring and every single chess piece. It is playing chess backwards. Like that's what making a murder mystery is. So I don't know.
Because in the first game, the murder mystery element's minor because there's a bigger overarching story. So that's a minor plot point. The fact that Jefferson has done this, like he's a minor murder mystery element of that game. He's not the main focus. However, if you take True Colors, who killed Gabe is the main focus. So that becomes the main focus. And then it becomes harder to kind of like do the murder mystery thing because when you get to Jed, you're like, like, you know, like he's not the, you know, he didn't kill Gabe, but it's like more in the sense of like he's part of this bigger conspiracy. And I'm like,
once again, it's that to us felt like it was playing chess backwards, but you had all the spaces highlighted. You know, you had the format highlighted. That's what True Colors felt like. But that's why I never write. If I were to ever write a script, right, and somebody told me like, "Oh, would you write a murder mystery?" I'm like, no. I'm good at fourth wall breaking. I'm good at being meta in my writing, but that doesn't really take a lot of talent to be meta. I probably insulted somebody with something like that, but it's what I do, and if you have the right mindset, it's fun. But if someone approached me to make a murder mystery, I would absolutely say no, no, because again, people are smart. People, we say on this podcast that people are stupid. I say people are stupid, but on a serious note, I would say 80% of the world's population is smarter than you actually think. The other 20%. So when I talk about other people, it's about like they are smarter. So when we're writing a murder mystery, kind of like I'm trying to think of like one murder mystery movie that I've watched recently. I'm like, okay, it's this. Okay, it's that.
Mhm.
And I can't think of it because once it X's my brain. But like Knives Out was a good murder mystery. I think Knives Out was a great murder mystery. But again, I'm just talking in circles here. But it's I feel like Square Enix wanted this, but they didn't understand the implications for it.
I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think they understood the audience didn't really necessarily want a murder mystery. They just kind of wanted a Max and Chloe story where people like.
Well, right in the
like
comments, do you want a murder mystery story in Life is Strange? I'm talking to you, the listener, the watcher. Put it in the comments. Did you want this? Is this what you want in a Life is Strange game, murder mystery? Because that's not what I want. I want a skateboarding game set in the Life is Strange world.
Yeah, I mean, Adam as well. I kind of like didn't miss it in the last part of that topic as well, which we'll kind of turn on to. I took a quote from the actual video, the murder suspects one, which was the Vin Lang one, as you put in the show notes, if you can see there. It's this is Vin Lang saying, he says Kahuna's got a social calendar like a TikTok influencer, which there is mention of like Canon like social media accounts in Life is Strange. Life is Strange 2 has Facebook mention, I believe, off the top of my head. But like they basically built crosstalk in this game. But do you when I said before it's like marketing to Gen Z, and it's like they mentioned TikTok. That's not even the worst line so far, guys. Like I think there's been an anime line that Max has said, which is really weird. And like, just wait. I think the writing is going to be very revealing in due course. I've seen and heard enough things about that.
You wake me up at 7 a.m. to talk about these.
What do you think of that line? Kahuna's got a social calendar like a TikTok influencer.
What does that even mean? A social calendar? Like a TikTok? Like, does that mean that when we're talking about social calendar, like they have it like uploaded already? Like, what does that even mean in context?
Yeah, so it's like they might have like a rigid schedule, so they get like a Starbucks and they like put it in the video and it's like living the life of an influencer.
What is this social? What the?
Does it look like I wrote it? Why am I defending it?
What is the social calendar? Like, what does that specify?
I have no idea what the implication that is.
What is a social calendar? A list of social events and the dates of them in particular years. What does that mean? I'm so old, Adnan. I think I shared you this TikTok, by the way, speaking of TikTok, where like we are now at the age where music from the early 2000s is at the distance that 2000s was from 80s music. And I feel so crinkly and so old. And I listened to Take You Back Sunday after I sent you that TikTok.
I can't do it.
Yeah,
I don't know what to make of that line, Adam. I really don't. I think the writing is going to be something. I think the actors are going to do what they can do the best. But if that's dialogue in the actual game, which it is, I'm deeply worried because it sounds awful. It makes no sense. Like, make a reference to TikTok. I've not even got an issue if you mention TikTok, by the way. They've already done the brand stuff with Polaroid and all this stuff. You want to mention TikTok and bring it into the game, fair enough. Establish it, but come on, man. It's like, come on. Like, what does that even mean? Kahuna's got a social calendar like a TikTok influencer. You could just say Kahuna is a TikTok influencer.
They wrote that. You know that the writers wrote that, and they just said bars. Oh, this is bars, dude.
Yeah.
When I write a script, and before I even like send it out to my voice actors or anything like that, if it doesn't make me laugh, like if it doesn't number one, if it doesn't make me laugh, then that's not it. And then number two, if it doesn't make my wife laugh, then it's out. And then third, I will send it to the voice actors, and I'm like, please send me any feedback. And if all three of these pillars fail, it's not being written, and that tells me what kind of writing team this is. Because I'm just like, what is that? What is this? What are you talking about here? Because one, like there have been many lines that I've written that have made me like out of my seat laughing, but then my wife's like, I don't get it. So I scrap it because I'm like,
which is what you do.
Yeah, I scrap it every time. I'm just like, and then she explains why she doesn't get it. And if I have to explain it, what is the whole thing with the jokes? Like, if you have to explain a joke, it's not funny then, you know? That's just it. Then it's just my own ADHD brain inside joke, like raptors wearing birthday hats. Isn't that weird? Isn't that funny? And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, I'm a little animal person. Let's take out the raptors with birthday hats.
It's a very weird line. It's a very weird. I will.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm ranting at this point. Am I saying that other writers make it into this industry, but I haven't, and maybe I'm a little bit salty? No.
I think you're fair with what you're saying. I think after this game comes out, I'll point you into a very, the listeners, if anything, I'll point you to a very big red flag, which I think a lot of you have missed, and I showed you, Adam, as well, which is a certain quote which we talked about off podcast once. I was like, this is an alarming observation, which we'll come aware of it. But we'll talk about that next time, don't worry. I won't forget it. Actually, I'll just let you know as well. Maybe you should go and read the IGN article again and read Zach Garris' statement, because it's very clear. There were certain things that statement is very glossed over because people had different opinions about what was said in the IGN article. As I said before, it's allegations, and I've done a lot of digging into that article, and a lot of things. There are a lot of interesting things that would change your optics with it. And Zach Garris makes a very interesting claim about the writing and waning influences on the writing team. And this game is showing a lot of influences of writing, which I'm a bit cautious about. But we'll come on to that another time, though. As I said, that's a bigger conversation because you might see it. Adam, should we go into our next piece of news?
Oh, we absolutely should. I'm going to be so calm the whole time.
So I'm going to pull up the original tweet first, Adam, because we'll pull up our good friend's observation afterwards, because I think it's fair. So, God almighty. I'm so sorry, guys. And you know what? I love you all for sticking around, because I feel so negative sometimes, but things have to be said here. So, Life is Strange has done like a 15 tweet thread. As you can see, I'm scrolling through it. It's all about the Ultimate Edition. So it's all variations. Again, I'm not salty if you're buying it. You buy it. If you want to establish the practice, be so.
I also want to put that on the record for my case. If this game will make you happy, please buy it. Yeah. Again, the world right now is such trash that if this will bring you joy, please purchase it and please enjoy yourself. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for reiterating that, because I agree with you as well. Because I'm just doing it for the sense that I don't support this practice and I'm putting my foot down ethically. But I've always warned, this will be the precedent you set with it. But if you want to buy it and you're happy with it, go for it, because it's your money at the end of the day. Otherwise, we will do as much damage control where we can in terms of like limiting spoilers, for example, on our posts, so other people don't get ruined by it. But in the nutshell, Adam, as you can see here, they've basically done a long justification. This was not what I expected to see on a Friday, if anything. No. But it's a long thread, and at point 5 here, which was an observation that was that the early access period is intended to enable the quote-unquote theory crafting what happens next, end quote, that our community loves so much from our previously episodic games released. So that's our main talking point, and we'll come on to it. But there's also another things here, which is pointed out that they're saying use this hashtag secrets of Caledon to hide any spoilers, which thank you, in the day and age of algorithms, that will not hide you, because someone will post something and you'll get exposed from it. All the little details here about the access to the early build, how you'll access it, even content about the cat content. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's not even worth me even thinking. I think in itself, they did say, like, for example, the trophies will unlock when you unlock the game. When the full game comes out, then they'll unlock. Otherwise, they're unlocked behind the wall. They did say here as well, for streamers and creators, that there's no limitations on the streaming part of it now. So you can basically use I think it's like a certain phrase or something, which they use this in the title, which is like LIS, etc. So you don't get hit by copyright strikes, which I think is good for the people who are streaming it. But I also think it's a big part of their marketing, which is a bit misleading, because I think that they want people to stream it because they want people to play this game and like really market it for them, because I think there's bigger issues with the game that we'll get onto. But Adam, before we get into the conversation as well, here's our lovely friend, Nice Field. We love Nice Field. Always very good. Yeah, very, very nice person, and very honest takes as well, which I think this was probably the best take, because I tweeted about it, but I think there's a better tweet, which was, why not post it episodically like Life is Strange 1 instead of this $88 Ultimate Edition early access BS? I genuinely would have loved episodic releases. And there's other people in here who are reiterating different opinions as well. I think that included, for example, the thing that I alluded to earlier, which is don't nod. You know how they basically based their feedback and changed things around. But as you can see, this was a very interesting take as well, Adam, as well, from Jenny_MC, which is because it would remind you the first game was $25 instead of $80. So I'm going to close.
Was it only 25 when it released? I can't remember.
The first Life is Strange, yeah, of course it was. Remember, it was like,
wow.
it was very, it was because it was like it wasn't in the mocap things. It was AAA game, but it wasn't marketed as a AAA game. So back in those days, even like Life is Strange 2, I think was half the price of this game, for example, if not less than that. It was like
I remember that
$40.
I just didn't remember it being that low, 25.
Yeah, so I obviously want to hear your opinions about this, but one thing I'm going to say is that their explanation for it is so ridiculous, because it's like, you released an Ultimate Edition for True Colors, which was chapter based, the same developer, same publisher, and where was the theory crafting scenario when you released all the game at one go and you did that? Oh no, actually, instead, sorry, you put the Ultimate Edition out because you could remaster the first Life is Strange and Before the Storm, made a complete hash of it, but that was your early incentive for people to pre-order the Ultimate Edition rather than releasing the game early. And even Life is 2D pointed out as well, there's a thing where Luke had spoken in one of the recent interviews we covered in Lost Records Journal, and he was talking about the two tapes being released half and half, and that's a completely different way they're doing it, because they're releasing it episodically. And he's like, well, Luke's mentioned the exact, like, alluded to the same thing, where it's like theory crafting, people do this. It's like, isn't it funny that Square Enix has like posted this in almost the same wording? And it's like, just to reiterate, we're not saying they're copying them or anything else like that, but it does say that read the room, folks, if anything, because as Nice Feels Take has said, I also put a very vicious take out there saying read the room of like what's being said here, because a lot of Life is Strange fans are very upset with this, and rightfully so as well.
Rightfully so.
Even with that hashtag on Twitter, for example, that's not going to stop someone from tweeting something or someone screen grabbing something. And then also as well, it's more than just hashtags, because basically it's algorithms. So if you watch the Life is Strange double exposure trailer, it's going to feed you the algorithm of the early chapter. And I 100% bet you, clip me up, there's going to be some BS YouTuber who's going to put a thumbnail out there which spoils something big. Always happens. But Adam, hit me.
So I do want to point out this reply, and then I'll hit you with mine. Harl Kings, at Harl's Kings writes, as a big fan, what's that?
You can put it on screen share if you want.
No, I'm going to read it. As a big fan since your first game, and also a very big supporter of your work, which, you know, good for you, Harl's Kings, for not recognizing Don't Nod, but, you know, I love you as a person. We'll grab a beer sometime. And also a very big supporter of your work. I can say no, capital no. I will no longer support early access policy to take more money from the community, which already loves you. Shame on this decision. And I just wanted to reiterate that, because taking more money from the community that already is ready to support you, and instead, you know, like what all these comments are saying, like, it sounds like you're just taking money from your community, right? Another person writes, like, I can't wait to dodge spoilers nonstop for the next 2 weeks simply because I refuse to pay $80. So here's my take on everything, right? I'm here for the season pass, right? I'm here for the season passes. Like you say, oh, get like for example, when Assassin's Creed Origins came out, I bought the big one because I wanted the season passes. I love the DLC. DLC is one thing for charging for. That's extra content. Like, hey, if you want to support us some more, here's some extra content, right? That is 100% okay. I will support that. If you want to say, hey, $80 and you get, sure, if it's just like the skins and the cat content, fine. That's totally, I'm like, I think that's stupid, but guess what? I've purchased way stupider things for way more, i.e. look at my vinyl collection. But so what I'm trying to say is that, like, if you want to give extra content, like a DLC, some skins for extra money, that's extra support, that is 100% okay with me. But to give this bull baloney, because I don't want you to do extra work from censoring me, of this actual nonsense. I'm going to reread the tweet that they sent. The early access period is intended to enable the quote theory crafting what happens next that our community loved so much from our previously episodic. Are you insane? Previously episodic release games. No, you didn't. Life is Strange. Little Twitter here. We know that's being run by some person at Square Enix. Okay. Theory crafting. So what this tells me is that you had plans for an episodic game, and Square Enix is like, you know what would make more money? Charging people. So what this is, I don't care.
No, because what? Because you're fair. Because what am I going to say back to you in response? How can I defend this? But continue, please.
So why this is bullcrap? Okay, when I say that a Patreon is fair for a content creator because, hey, if you want to support us, here is some extra content. Or DLC is fair because, hey, if you want to support us, here is extra content for you here. This is saying, hey, if you don't want to avoid your social media for spoilers, if you want to be around this water cooler and talk with your buddies that also have $30 extra, that not a lot of people do at this rate in time. I work in a restaurant and I constantly hear people saying, hey, once I get my paycheck, I need to run to the bank as soon as possible because I got to deposit this because I got negative $200 in my bank account. Are their life decisions always that great? That's not the point. But the point is that we're already living in a recession. We're already living in one of the worst economies that we've lived through in my lifetime since 2008, right? In my lifetime. I'm sure there's way worse. The 90s was not great. Not the point. Adam, stay on target here. What I'm saying is that we're already living in a rough economy. And instead of you offering extra content, like a little fun gimmicks, you say, hey, unless you want to pay us $30, avoid all your social media. Like, don't talk to your friends. Yeah. Don't do that. What this is that not only are you entering the club, we're all fam in the club, right? You enter the club, okay? You're entering the club of Life is Strange, right? And it says like, oh, by the way, the bar that you want to drink in front of, the bar is in the VIP section. Everything else is the dance floor. You can dance all you want, but if you want any drinks in the club, you have to pay extra to get into the VIP section. That's the weird part, right? Instead of having the bar and the dance floor and there is a VIP section, if you want to just be by yourself, that's one thing. But what this is saying, like, hey, there's a dance floor, but if you want any drinks in the club, you have to pay extra to be in the VIP. I can't make this point any more stressed than I already am, but for them to say that this is a theory crafting what happens next that our community loved, that means they knew that their community loved that aspect about that episodic. They loved it and they monetized it. They took something that the community absolutely loved and they absolutely said, let's monetize that. Let's monetize the thing that gives them joy. Let's monetize the thing that makes them a community. The whole reason why we became a community is because of the episodic. But you said, hey, what makes you a community? Let's monetize that. It's almost like it's the American healthcare system. Let's monetize this. Let's monetize that. Let's monetize this. That way, so that none of you become a community, we will make this into a class system. If you're rich, you get to be part of our community. If you're poor and broke, have fun on the dance floor because you're not drinking tonight. Before I have a heart attack, go ahead.
No, you're right, because this is defending the indefensible, which is I can't think of any way of like even spinning this that makes it even any way near palatable. And then even off podcast, I said to you, this is like being part of the elite Vortex Club at Blackwell, whilst other people aren't. And it's like you're saying that you're pandering to everyone in the Vortex Club is like now we host our own parties for our own people. It's like that, you know, that's.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't have any problems if it was just the cat content and the skins.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have any issue because again, it's extra. It's fine. It's fine, but like, yeah, it's the way they worded it. I'm like, are you insane? Are you insane?
I finally saw someone say it to Nicefield in response, saying like, their bottom line margins don't look good if they release it $10 per episode. When it's an $80 collection, it adds more to the margin. It's true though. You're right, because that's the most tacked on point you said, which was the fact that they've monetized the community, because you don't care about the community. Because as you said as well, if you did a Patreon and I locked all the content behind a paywall and said that people who don't subscribe to it access it a week later,
it would be like you get the first half of the podcast for free, but if you want the second half of the podcast, you have to go on Patreon.
Which in itself blows your mind when you put it in, when you think about it. This is why I keep saying to people, think about what they're saying. And then if you aren't pulling your hair out thinking this just sounds stupid, that's the problem with it. It just sounds so stupid. It's indefensible. It is indefensible in any way, shape, or form, because one thing I don't get as well, people will get this unlocked on, for example, when it's unlocked next week, and you get the podcast on Wednesday when you come here. The likelihood is you've already completed the first 2 chapters. What are you going to do? Play 30 minutes per day? You're going to play the full thing, and then you're waiting 15 plus days to get access to the rest of the game. And it's like, what are you going to get there then? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense in my logic mind. We played The Expanse, for example, last year when it came out. It came out weekly. So it's like, instead, you could have bought this game out at release, and then everyone plays it week in advance for 5 weeks, and you get to the end of it, 5 chapters, discussions, theories. Try and reformat form episodic. Luke's doing it at the minute with Michelle. They're reformatting it as 2 parts, 2 chapters, 2 tapes. It's like, that's the new episodic formatting for them, because they know that they can try and drive marketing a bit more. But when it's a publisher, there's no consideration, because you can't say we care about what the community think and saying that they want to do this when you're locking them behind a $30 paywall. As you said before, I've even mentioned on other podcasts, people live paycheck to paycheck. Think about it as well. If you buy this, for example, get really disappointed, that $30 you could have kept and then bought Lost Records next year. And it's like, instead, you've just wasted $30 to play a game 2 weeks early. It's FOMO marketing. It's spoiler marketing. It is deeply unethical practices, because even for me, who likes to see from both sides of on the spectrum, I can't defend the indefensible. This is purely indefensible. This is greed-driven. This is really poor, because it makes it a really bad look on Deck 9 as well, because Deck 9 have worked hard on the game as developers, as human beings, even the actors, and they're getting disregarded because of the fact that you're releasing something in this format. What does it achieve? I don't get what it achieves, because ultimately you're saying to people, we care about the community and here's the meaning for it. But then you're also saying, here's a hashtag to stop other people from getting spoiled. So you're basically not pandering to the community. You're pandering to a small section of it. And what are they going to do? You're going to turn people on each other. Because imagine if you get spoiled by someone, the first thing you're going to do is going to start lashing out at them. And it's also, that's part of the social media game, because social media will feed you an algorithm. If you watch one Life is Strange video and you're scrolling on TikTok, it's going to feed you a spoiler. You get angry and then you comment on it. That feeds their algorithm, because they want you to comment, because it creates engagement. You'll come back to the app and start a fight. Oh my God. Oh my. I don't even want to get, I
already have high blood pressure, and this isn't helping.
This is the most everything I had criticism towards Double Exposure has been laced at Square Enix. I have no intention of working with them or caring about them. I will be very vocal about it, and you're not going to get that from other people. I just don't understand how people aren't. Do you sit there sometimes like twitching? I'm like thinking like, why is no one else saying it? Why else? No one else get? And everything you said in points when you're listening to it, I was like, I can't even say anything back to Adam here. Because what am I supposed to say back to the guy? It's like he's literally said every point I think, what other people think. Even Nicefield loves Life is Strange. And Nicefield's a bit like, come on. It's like, I can't. It's the indefensible, like, honestly. And speaking of indefensible, Adam, should we move to the next topic? Because this is a little bit alarming as well. It's come out of nowhere.
So I want to read one last tweet here.
Fantastic. Here we go.
This is from @RuniusCat. Makes a good point. I'm so glad I will be able to theory craft I'm so glad I will be able to theory craft alongside everyone. Actually, wait, no, because it's only the highest priced edition of the game. Like, just be honest and say the CEO and his stockholder shifts. I didn't say the bad word. Are greedy witches. If it was intended for that, every edition would have it, right? Yeah, exactly. Like everybody would have 2 weeks in advance, right? But it's the CEO and the stockholders that called for this. So But yeah, no, it's so dumb. I hate it.
There's no defending it. Honestly, I'm like when I saw it as well, and I put it in the show notes, I was like, this is just going to be like, there's no defending.
It's
this.
like a
Square Enix.
huh?
Yeah, and it's
Huh?
also it's a shame on you. It's like shame on you. Like you've lost all good faith of your community. If this game struggles in terms of like getting people like rallying behind it, you've lost like a large portion of your community, and it's going to like really hit you in the next game when you make it as well. We know it's going to happen as well. It's like for now, you can like take the sales and stuff, but the next game, there's going to be no love and service for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the indefensible Adam, should we move on to our next piece of news because this came out of nowhere?
Oh, am I the next piece of news because I'm indefensible?
No, you are not, Adam, because we have lovely screen share. I'm going to take you to this.
I thought you were just like,
was...
you are not indefensible. You are a walking garbage bag of poop.
Not yet, no. Square Enix is currently standard flat, so don't worry about that. Adam, this was a very alarming piece of news. And we've got quite a few reactions as well to throw on this. So this is an interview in French. I'm not going to play it. I've not had a full time to transcribe it. So
can I try to read it in French?
No, you can't have your French here.
I can speak French.
So, for context, this is quite alarming because this is related to Don't Nod. And as you can see here, this is from Jian, who's put this, and this is a translation on the Google part of Twitter. It says here in quote, that's a lot of time wasted for nothing. Who's going to look at the grass moving in the field? So this is the business development director at Don't Nod, who wants to transform environmental artists into character artists because of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got quite a few reactions on that, and as well, Adam, as well. I think we actually covered this person as well because it was in a news press release last year that they joined Don't Nod, and I'm pretty sure we had it as one of the brief topics, which I can't commit to completely, but I'm sure they were mentioned. But as we got here as well, this is from at Anjin Anhut, who says this snippet from an interview seems to show Pascale Clarac, business development management director at Don't Nod, to plan to use AI for environmental assets because she's so not see the value of artists, made environmental artists. Really trying to give benefit of the doubt here, one, and then there's quite a few explanations here, which also I'm giving benefit of the doubt because we don't know the full context as well. And just point that out. But also as well, this was something that caught a lot of people's eye as well. And I'm going to pull some of the reactions up here as well. And this is in no particular order, man, as well, just based on the show notes. So I'm going to go to this one here. This was from Gabin Giraudet, who works at Don't Nod. Love you as well. You follow me. Thank you so much for that. Who put this message here, which I translated via Google Translate, and it says shame. Which I think that is quite reflective of someone to say that as well, because I don't think you just say it in a going kind of sense, because this is you're dealing with people's livelihoods, etc. We got Gary Jamaros, who's worked at Don't Nod. I don't know if they still work at Don't Nod, but have worked on Don't Nod games as well. And as you can see here from the translation, I never thought I'd see a director of Don't Nod have such shame takes on the ground. How to properly spit in the faces of developers when we are currently experiencing unprecedented uncertainty for our professions. How to add fuel to the fire, and that's the translation. That's translating again from what he said. He might be saying it a bit different, so I'm just clarifying that we're using Translate here because a lot of the developers are responding in French as well. Adam, personal favorite, love this person. Marsha Lopez has turned up as well, formerly of Don't Know Montreal. Is now working at EDIOS, or has worked at EDIOS. I think they might change, but Marsha has worked on Lost Records, Blue and Rage, responded to it saying shameful, ignorant, and disrespectful. Another BS job that has no grip on the reality of the craft to which it owes its salary. The CAs of our studios are full of it, and then they come to sell their labor of love, quote unquote, at conversations and interviews. Don't Nod do better. Again, Marsha has left Don't Nod, has now working a different studio, a different place, has worked on Lost Records. And then also as well, Adam here as well, which was Etienne Brassard, who works at Don't Know Montreal, who's working as a principal VFX artist, as you can see. But not the case in the Montreal team. Was mentioned before that our level of our visual fidelity can't be achieved with AI. Grass with wind is cool as AF. As responded here, saying there could be pushback if it was. Not happening on the FXX team. There might be some use of AI for texture filtering on simulation in VFX, but it's not something I'm personally interested looking into at all. Then also referred to here as well. They're working on Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, and finally Adam, of course, as well. the last one that we'll pull up here, which is relevant, and obviously I think there's a lot for us to talk about here, and it's none other than Michelle Coe, who responded to me. I woke up this morning, I saw Michelle's reply, and I was like, what have I done? I was like, have I said something? I'm like, no. And then it's like, yeah. So I basically put here saying, I said AI and don't know should not be in the same sentence for me, which I think is the most real take it can be.
Yes.
A little bit surprised seeing this clip. And then Michelle responded with this article from Game Developer, which, Adam, we have covered as well. And this was about Luke and Michelle talking about AI, and it was covered on it was on StrangeCast. Lost Records Journal hadn't happened there. But Adam, I thought, like, you know, it's like quite alarming. And like, this is also, remember, these are Don't Know developers who are working in their studios, some of them, some formally, some who've worked as freelance, who have responded to this because, you know, gaming industry has been very hit by a lot of things. But this kind of relates to what you were saying in the last episode, Adam, where you like thinking like, you know, Don't Know reported a very bad fiscal year in the early part of 2024. And you said that there's over 350 people working there. And the kind of like next level thing that can happen is layoffs. If, for example, if Don't Know doesn't see a turnaround. And then when you factor with AI, for example, it's kind of like, you know, that thing that bleeds into creative art where it's like people lose their kind of like creative sense of like work. They have like a kind of impeding thing on it. I just want to see what you thought about it, because it was very surprising when I saw that clip, and I was like watching it, was like, especially the development team as well.
I tend to agree with the business people. Visual, environmental, they're expendable. Environmental artists, completely expendable. I think it's the right decision. AI, talk about AI, artificial intelligence is more like all ingredients, because we have the ingredients to get rid of the environmental artists. That's my take.
And your honest take.
Oh, my honest take. Gotcha. This is bull, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I will defend the business people here. That's business mindsets. They think of it as a shifting program. In their minds, they don't see one art being more difficult than doing to another art. Like, let's say you are into, I'll put it into music. Like, let's say rock music. Like, you're a rock musician. Oh, you can obviously go over to classical. That might be the case. That could be the case, but more ways than one. Not everybody who develops a rock mindset can go straight into classical and be good at it, right? It's a different game. Or even more so, you know, rap artists going into country. That's never happened before, ever in the history of the world. And it's always successful whenever they do. Here's my point. My point is that business people think of art as interchangeable, not just expendable, because they do think it's expendable because of AI, but they think it's interchangeable. They think that an environmental artist can easily switch over to a character artist. If that's the case, if you're an artist yourself and you like to draw mountains, draw a face, draw a realistic face. You know, again, there are some people who draw mountains and landscapes that absolutely can. They really can. But moreover than some, if you specialize in environments and then you switch over to characters, it's not going to be the same as somebody who has specialized in character design and then switch them over to mountains, right? It's a different mindset. It's a different pattern. It's a different process, right? So we're all mad about this. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't be mad about it, right? Because AI is saying like, oh, it's going to take jobs, but then it's also saying that art can be interchangeable, which it's straight not. And it's a shame that Don't Nod has hired people in the business game that believes that artists can be interchangeable. Like, I think artists should be more variable? Sure. Like then you can like widen your range. But if you specialize in something, that's when somebody becomes like really, really good, you know? So it's for me, I'm more upset about Don't Nod because of what they believe artists are, or just like little chess pieces, you know?
No, I think it's an honest and reflective take that you're giving there, because I think one of the things you said, which was interesting, was the fact that character artists and environmental artists are different. Like, they've got specific titles. Like, if Michel gets in his room with his team, of like Lost Records thing, and like Juliet's the lead character artist. She's the lead character artist. She's like got a team that's doing other variation of different designs. Funnily enough, as well, like there's a wild out of context take as well. There's a very famous historical figure who's a very good landscape artist, but couldn't draw people's faces. Do you know who it was?
I want to say I do, and I just can't remember.
Very famous at draw. He could draw very good like backgrounds, but couldn't draw people's faces. Studied at Vienna in art school.
It's 8:30 in the morning for me. I'm losing it.
So famously, Adolf Hitler trained to become a artist, and he could draw landscapes.
Why are you comparing artists to Hitler?
I'm not comparing that. That's why I said out of context. I'm saying in the sense that
I'm clipping this.
I'm saying in the sense that he could, in history, I've found it fascinating when I read about it in terms of like his thing. He tried to become an artist in Vienna. He could draw, and if you look at some of the landscapes he did, it was actually like, oh wow, it's like incredible like that. And I'm not praising this, like I'm just being very clear this, but in the context of that, but he couldn't draw people's faces. So if you see some of the drawings, they're like like it's like almost two different people have done it. And it's like, for example, that's why his career never like went off in that, and you know, history is as it is, and it's, you know, it's like a dark moment in history for what people have to go through. But in the sense of that's the difference, because as you said, if you, for example, train to become a musician as you are, you've also said before, like you're not a producer. So it's like you will look for a producer to do your music. So it's like every part of a artist creativity has its own roles, even if some people think like from business mind point, oh, actually Juliet's the lead character artist, we can move her on to the environment.
Yeah, even to that point, you interviewed Steph Trivison, right, who is a producer. I have the mindset of a composer, and I believe both me and Steph could interchange our roles, right? I could produce and she could compose, but it's not even just about the interchangeable. Like, it's not that we can't do that. It's just that we specialize in our own special talents, that if we just interchange, it's going to be miserable work because we don't want to do that. So again, go listen to Steph. Steph just released a track with an artist. I'm losing the name, but
she's got such a good sound. She's got such a good sound.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. She's a good producer. She's a fantastic producer. But if you told us to interchange what we do, we're not going to be happy with it, and it's not going to be the same. Yeah,
no, it doesn't work, because as I said, like it's that thing where it's like, look at, for example, Jusant and look at Banishes. They're so different. Like how can, it's like, even with like, for example, imagine you go to Edward Kaplan and be like, oh yeah, can you draw the grass please, mate? And it's like he's more focused on this part of it. It's like, no, you can do it because you're, and he's like, no, it's like there's other artists in our team that do that, because collaboratively the artists come together and we make the assets, because whilst one person's strength might be in character drawing, for example, another person's might be in the design of it, and that's where you get the pieces that you're doing. It seems like, it just seems a bit tone deaf to say that kind of comment, because it's like, that's a mid don't nod for it's a shame, because it's like, from a business standpoint, certain things they're trying, like they're just thinking from a business perspective, as you said. It's like they're driven by that business perspective, and they're not seeing, for example, what the artists are going through day to day, what they're doing on the ground. And it's like, this is also just comes across as really bad in the time where Don't Nod has just reported bad earnings. They have a lot of employees. I've not really seen Don't Nod do layoffs in my lifetime in the last 5 or 10 years. Like when I've been covering them, it's like, I've just not really seen anything like that. And it just makes me feel a bit like, I'm like, I don't really want to see stuff like that being said or spoken about. It's like, it just feels out of place. And then, for example, the Montreal team is different. So they have a completely different perspective. And I think, off the top of my head, when we read that article, when Michelle and Luke were talking about it, because we covered it on one of the podcast episodes, I think Michelle said that they had like assistants from it, or they could use it as assistants, like AI. It's like, that's the level you can go with. But obviously the creative sense is to have artists draw things, because like an AI is not going to draw you something which is from the mind of someone who's lived those experiences. Because I've seen some ridiculous things. I've seen a clip on Twitter where someone remade the Princess Mononoke trailer shot by shot with AI. And they were like, did every scene AI generated in live action? And it looks stupid. It looks stupid already, because you've basically ripped out the soul of that content. Because if Hayao Miyazaki is not there making that with the vision, then AI has got nothing to go off it. Because you can try and say AI can do this, but AI doesn't have a sense of what makes grass. AI hasn't been able to touch grass. That's what makes content great. Like, that's what makes content lively. That's what makes things authentic, real. Because if you felt grass, you can have a conversation with someone for about 20 minutes talking about the textures of grass, and you'd have different experiences. AI can't do that. So, for example, you can't just say, oh, well, we're just going to make AI generated. That just seems like the kind of thing
Yeah.
you'd see from like some really small studio selling assets that's trying to like take a bit of profit from it. But from Donut, it comes across, and from that person at least as well. Again, benefit of the doubt. It might be something said in a different circumstance, but the reaction I saw, because I wasn't going to include it in here at first, but it's when the reaction came from the developers, past and present. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, there's something alarming here. The conversation's a lot more deeper than that. But yeah.
It's demeaning.
Yeah,
It's straight
agreed.
up demeaning.
Yeah.
As a musician myself, and I'm making like music for different aspects. I'm constantly getting marketed for like plugins that use AI to mix your music. It uses AI to get your perfect sound. It gets AI to. I'm like, do you not think I can do that already? Like, do you not think I can do that well in a quick amount of time? It's marketing to the people that have zero ability and zero talent, and then that's where it's at. AI can be used for a lot of different things. It is a tool. It is something that it can be used by somebody who can't afford environmental artists, but you have to like you get what you pay for, you know. But it's demeaning to think that like professionals can't do this. It's demeaning, and it's also cost cutting, and it's just like it's bullcrap
on everything. Think about all the industries when we talked about Xandru's on motion capture, or on the interviews when we talked to Erica Mori about voice acting, when we talked about Kylie Brown and voice acting. Every industry is facing the threat of AI, and it's like they basically, as you said, I feel like what they kind of think is like, actually, we'll cut down 10 artists to 5, get them to do the extra legwork, and then AI will fill in the gaps, and then we can increase our bottom margins and things like that. It doesn't work like that. These things are going to have to cost money because, like, as we said before, things are very specifically designated. You'll rip the soul out of games. Look at how soulless a McDonald's is. I always make that comment where it's like going to a McDonald's, it looks like a corporate business when you walk in there. The interior and stuff, it's no longer got the colors and the vibe and the 90s. It used to be fast food and cheap. Now it's just expensive. It's like, why am I going to go to it now? It's like, it's not even cheap and effective. It's like, that's the problem with these kind of things. And from a business standpoint, and from a business person saying that, you're going to rip the soul of it. Because for me as well, for that person to say, make an AI game and see it first. Make it. Get a bunch of AI tools, get it out there, and then put it in the room front of Donut devs and say, what do you think of this? Because they're all going to say, well, it looks soulless. And that's the first thing that a critical response is going to be, well, it looks like very soulless, this. Why is the grass in this texture?
Listen to AI music. There is AI music out there. And it is just, I'm not scared of AI taking my job because the only people going to be taking my job is people who don't care about art. And so, like, I don't want to work for that person anyway, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a very out of touch comment to make as well. Amid very unprecedented scene in the gaming industry, which is losing jobs left, right, and center. And we've always supported the creative people that have wanted to come on, like, you know, with whatever line they're doing. It's even from actor strikes, etc. And this just is, you know, it's not what Donut needs to see at this point. And I think, like, you know, some of those Donut devs have just said their mind. Some formal ones have spoken their minds, and you can't really refute how they think. It's like I said in the last topic, it's defending the indefensible for me. Like, I don't see the optics that even make an argument otherwise, unless you're using it as assistance and a low key assistance to help you in your work. But that doesn't mean you can't like cut 3 of the artists out and then use that as assistance. It just needs to be a helping tool, if anything, not the actual tool that does the job, if anything. Speaking of which, Adam, should we go into our next piece of news, because this is another interesting take that emerged as well on the online interwebs.
Definitely.
And just for context, guys, as well, we're not going to do a main topic now because we're going to go on for a while, because a lot of these news topics are main topics in themselves as well, and we feel like it has that. So, Adam, we're going to the Life is Strange comic book writer Emma Vieceli, who was on Blue Sky and put a very interesting take out. This was in
Blue Sky is still a thing.
Blue Sky is still a thing. Yes, it
what?
is.
Oh, look at that Blue Sky. Yeah,
I missed.
Are you on Blue Sky?
No, I'm not signing up to any more social media, Adam. I told you this before. I've signed up to TikTok. That's the last one I'm doing. After that, I'm done. I'm done with social media. So Emma Vieceli here, Adam, part of take, which I thought was interesting. So let's read through this. So she put in a series of posts on Blue Sky, pointing, look, Canon has adopted 2 meanings in modern fandom chats. One, an officially recognized body of work. Are the comics of the Life is Strange canon universe? Yes. 2, the one singular true story. Are the comics the canon story? No. Life is Strange is player's choice. So there simply is no canon story. In another one she put here, which is, I know a few lovely Life is Strange readers made it here, but I'm largely shouting into the void, haha. With the new game coming, I get asked, are the comics canon a lot? And it depends a lot on what you mean when you say canon. They're official and part of the Life is Strange canon, but each player has their own canon story. And then finally, to wrap up, she put here saying, the confusion often comes from the multiple use of the word. With the comics, I made it my goal to weave a new narrative and the new elements to a wider canon of the game universe, whilst trying to make sure no one felt their own choices would have played out somewhere, even if it's not seen. End quote. That's Emma Vieceli. And Adam, by the way, as well, let me show you this. This person interacts with us as well. As it popped up there, I'm just quickly seeing, as you said in your podcast, Square Enix missed an incredible chance to have Emma among the DE writers with 29 favorites. Thank you very much for pointing that out. And that is a take I think is going to age very well, as you'll see. Adam, Emma Vieceli, obviously we've spoken about. I love Emma Vieceli. She's been on this channel twice. I think she's fantastic. I've always spoken very highly of her. And I think that was an interesting perspective to give on canon, because I think this is, again, in the conversation of Life is Strange, a double exposure and things that have happened, it's quite revealing that people are now trying to define what canon is. They're looking at it in different ways as well. And I think she's giving a very interesting perspective in terms of how you see canon, because this is what happens when you basically choose an ending of a game, which gives the ultimate agency to a player. Because ultimately, in my opinion, there is no canon for Life is Strange 1.
No.
Because that's and I say that as, for example, when we've talked about before, I'm not going to do spoilers, Gears of War, Adam. Do you remember that really weird choice they give you in terms of the choice in the last Gears of War game? And I'm like, how do you really follow that? What? It's like, that's out of place for this franchise. And then on top of that, how does this establish the story? So I think that Life is Strange 1 doesn't have a canon, because it's ultimately how you dictate as a player. That's why it's always been difficult for someone to make a story that follows on from that game, and why Emma herself specifically said that she told Square Enix that the comics are not the official canon. They are a canon. They are a story that is being told in the Life is Strange canon universe. I'm just curious what you thought about Adam in terms of what she was saying in the perspective.
So I think she's saying it in a very, not just a professional way, but she's saying it in, here's where I'm gonna get Square Enix in trouble here. She's saying it in a Life is Strange fan kind of way. Okay. So when she is being a Life is Strange fan, and I believe that Rosie Thor, when she wrote her book, she wrote it in a way that is a Life is Strange fan. Emma Vieceli, Life is Strange fan. Square Enix putting in your face like, this is the canon now. Bah! Not a Life is Strange fan. Absolutely not a Life is Strange fan. Because again, when you have this whole perspective, and I love how Emma says it. I know a lovely Life is Strange readers made it here, but I'm largely shouted out with the new game. And it depends what you mean when you say canon. They're official and part of the Life is Strange canon. Like, there's nuance to the canon, right? There's not just one single canon, because Life is Strange is her comics, right?
Yeah.
Or within the universe of Life is Strange, but they call them canon. It's like, it depends what you mean. She's handling it in a way that respects Life is Strange and loves Life is Strange. Whereas Square Enix is just doing business. It's just a business, and it's just marketing, and it's just seeing trends, and it's seeing it in a way of just like, what will make us the most money? How can we monetize this? Emma Vieceli says it. How can I pay homage to a franchise that I love? So good for you, Emma. We've never spoken before. What a shame. Speak to me now.
I think she's wonderful. Like, when I've spoken to her, like, on personal, I think she's great. But you're right.
I promise, when Emma's on here, I will not do a British accent. I know I do British accent, but if Emma's on here, I won't. I will respect the British accent. Tough
So I
nut.
don't think I can get her over back on because of that British accent.
What?
I'd die
Bloody
a
hell!
second
What do
hand.
you mean?
You're right though with Rosie Four because like she had that perspective. Even Zoe Thorogood, who's doing the new comics as well, she's like a Life is Strange fan. She was like it resonated with her, and that's why they give you different perspectives on canon and what is canon. And I think like Emma got dealt the hand that she did, and a lot of people like basically would throw her flack on other things. But that there was Square Enix. I've always said this again: the Square Enix decisions are different from the Emma decisions. Emma Vieceli. This is my other take I'll put out there, which obviously thank you to that user who's put out there saying that my take will age well in terms of Emma being among the Deck 9 writers or at least being a consultant. My other take, which I think will age well in terms of at least with Emma Vieceli, is that based on how Double Exposure plays out, I think that the comics are going to be seen a lot better from price fielders.
Yes.
From people who really liked Max and Chloe are going to look back on that and be like, this was amazing. This is what we actually wanted. Because in itself as well, funnily enough, if you put Emma's 6-book comic arc next to the Double Exposure, it feels like almost 2 games. Do you know the 2 endings that they're following? It feels like they're trying to like follow a certain timeline of each event. It's like they almost have like complete different sides in terms of that one's more Max and Chloe oriented. This one's more Max oriented post what's happened, even though it's trying to show shades of both endings. It feels like that's quite clear a little bit here. And I think with Emma, the way she's actually put that, I think like I saw a lot of reactions where people were like, yeah, this is kind of like probably the best assessment that's been shown of it. And then other people being like, I saw some people being like, well, at least the comics are my canon and this Double Exposure is definitely not. And I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite clear. Like, I think she's given a very good, clean perspective on that. But I think in itself, my other thought is that her comics are going to age really well because I think people who really like Max and Chloe are going to look back on it because I know Emma did incredible work with that among many other things she did, which will go completely unrecognized, but she did incredible work in terms of bringing Max and Chloe's story to life in that kind of thing. And I think she's probably the one the outside of Don't Nod and Deck 9, the only person that I think can give that kind of really clean perspective on what canon is because she's been with the series for as long as she has and she's really shown her love to it and affection to it. So I think she's like really nailed the point on that, which will resonate with people. And I think we'll come back to it at some point as well, because I think it's going to age well when Double Exposure comes out, among many other things. But yeah, Adam, should we go into our next piece of news?
Oh, absolutely.
This is a nice little piece of news. And it is none other than Lost Records Bloom Rage. Yay.
Yeah.
So Don't Know Montreal here as well posted that a bit more information that we've seen this before, which is the cat that Swann has. We initially thought it was just Pumpkin. That was the cat name, but Michelle previously tweeted about us. Tweeted out saying that, there's more to that than we read in an interview, which we covered in one of the podcast episodes, saying that there's, the opportunity to change the color of your cat and then also to, name your cat. And then I thought the marketing was very clever for this as well, Adam, because they basically posted a variation of the cat on different social media platforms. So Twitter got one, Instagram got one, and TikTok got one. So they all got different cats. So these were all differently named, which was Snowy, Shadow, and Pumpkin. Again, they've chosen the names, and then they associated with the color of the cat there as well, which I thought was a nice little reference there. Firstly, Adam, as well. Well, AI wouldn't make that cat as well as it would it? With the actual textures. Let's quickly clear that up as well from the Don't Nod.
I don't know about that. AI is pretty good.
Well, it wouldn't be able to give a soul to that cat the way that they have done now with the visual and the texture. So let's be very clear about that from that point. And then secondly as well, that is cat content. That is not K cat content. This is small C cat content in Lost Records Bloom Rage, which is free in your game, and you get to customize and name your cat and color it. You can name your cat in the Ultimate Edition of Life is Strange Double Exposure, but you have to pay $30 extra for that, and you give the cat back. Currently, we get to keep Swann's cat, which is always a big win. I like that as well. I'm just throwing digs at just for the sake of it, but I had to include this piece of news because I like the fact that you get your own cat and you can name it and color it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no, this is excellent. Like it's kind of like Ghost of Tsushima, where you have to pick your horse and you have to name your horse. I always pick Nobu. Nobu's always a good little guy. But yeah, no, this is great. Like it's not just like it's the details of this that you get to select your story and select how your memories are. Not just with the outfit changes, but like what kind of cat you have, and what your name of your cat is. So really excellent. Absolutely. I will not be picking the orange cat. Orange cats are scary. But other than that, really good. I like
That's
this customization.
What
Yeah, what's
color are
that?
you going for?
The black cat, straight up.
Well, there might be more colors as well. We're only seeing 3 at the minute, so there
Not
could be
orange cat.
potentially-
Orange cat mentality is not good.
Match Swann's hair.
Yeah, but the orange cats are crazy, dude. Just kind of
I
like
love the TikTok videos.
yeah, chocolate labs are also like weird in their mannerisms too. But yeah, they also have orange cat technology and then chocolate labs. But yeah, no, black cat all the way.
So you're going black cat. Yeah, actually, you know what? As well, I'm my cat. I said to Adam is ill as well. So it's like, you know, when I eventually do get another cat, I'm hoping he stays long for a long time. I would like a black cat because I don't know what it is about them. But I think I probably would go for a black cat myself in the game as well. I think there's something about it. What are you calling your cat?
Garbage can. All one word.
Can.
Garbage can.
Oh, it's so American as well. Garbage. Oh.
Garbage can.
God
lasagna.
Almighty.
I mean, naming it lasagna.
Yeah, I need to think of my names at the minute. There could be a couple.
Pompidou. I'm naming my cat Pompidou. I'm naming my cat
What as well. It'd be
Yeah.
funny. It'd be funny if someone calls that cat Mushroom and it dies a
Oh,
painful
no.
death. It does a Life is Strange too, and it
Yeah.
gets taken out again. I don't know. Got quite a few variations for mine. Might call my cat
Yeah.
Life is 2D.
Life is 2D. You're gonna
I
name
might call
your
it
cat Life is 2D.
Or
Yeah.
Abby, or
Okay.
a variation of different things I can call it, like from people. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for that cat content. Speaking of which, Adam, this is not cat content, but should we go into our next piece because we're heading towards the finish line, and this is I don't know how I feel about this, and I really wanted your opinion on it more than anything else. So I'm gonna pull up
I have great opinions about everything.
Do you?
Every time, yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Okay. So this was amid the tweets that we were getting from that 15-part thread. And the question was put here saying, would it be spoilery to ask how long the game is hour-wise? And the Life is Strange Twitter account responded saying it would be, but we can't let you know most of the stuff that we've shared that people have been calling, quote-unquote, spoiling the entire game, end quote, barely scratches the surface of the first 2 episodes. So that was just one tweet I wanted to show you. Please wait. Just need to come back. You can't leave. He's left. What? No. You haven't seen the other one yet. Wait for it. There's another one here as well for you.
Okay.
Lovely parts, which I pulled up here. And this was from TikTok, which said, you're showing way too much of this game before it releases, Angel. And they put, me when we market the game we're trying to sell.
Oh my god, dude.
Which I will say 2 things there, and I actually include this topic for you more so, which I said, like, am I being too mean? I saw some people saying they're being sassy and stuff like this. I don't think you can really act that way when you've basically screwed over a bunch of people already with the marketing. Like, I know if you wanted to be sassy and it was like in good faith, but currently you've won no brownie points with people. The mic's up.
Listen to
Am
me,
I
buddy.
being a bit too much of a? I wanted to ask you that. I even put it in the next show,
Okay, so before I start my little rant right here, what are you in the wrong for, Adnan? What are you wrong for? I need to clarify that.
I'm just wondering if I don't read the sassiness and if I'm not reading like the kind of like the tongue in cheek that they're trying to do, because I don't think that's tongue in cheek. I just think that's really disrespectful to a fan base which you've already insulted repeatedly during this entire like marketing campaign. And they're like, you know.
So you think that it's not tongue in cheek? That's okay. Yeah. What is tongue in cheek to you? To you British people?
Well, my sense of humor is very different. You know that.
I was about to say, because you call pharmacies chemists, so we need to understand where you're coming from here.
Yeah, my tongue in cheek is like very more. It's hard for me to explain because mine's very different. I just don't. I think like the jab of like people saying it's way too spoilery and stuff like that. It's like you are reading people's thoughts. So, for example, when people have been expressing all the stuff about Chloe Price, you've not said anything, but you've been reading all the other comments, and you're taking a jab at people for that. It's like it just feels tone deaf. Am I fair?
Sort of. Okay, so I'm just gonna say my take, and then you can just make your judgment from here. What? Okay, let's go step number 1. Okay, would it be too spoilery to ask how long the game is hours wise? Okay. And they said it would be. How? How is that spoilery? How is that spoilery? When you've already said that a character is part of, not just part of a secret organization, but is the president of the secret organization. That's not spoilery. But saying that it's 8 hours long, oh, that's spoilery. You'll figure out the mystery if it's 8 hours. My neck is hurting. Anyways, how is... Okay, for one thing, for At Loud Moons, God bless you, okay? Cthulhu bless you. Whatever you believe in. They may bless you, because the fact that you had to tippy-toe on this question and walk on eggshells, saying, would it be too spoilery to ask how long the game is, hour-wise? Why do you have to tiptoe around that? That's not spoilery. That is just information to purchase, okay? If you say, oh, the whole game is going to be 3 hours, but we're charging you $80, maybe that's a little too high. Perhaps $80 is asking for too much. But if you say that it's... Okay, let me ask you this, Adnan. Oh, God, such a headache right now.
Well, Michelle also told how long Lost Records is, roundabout.
I know, but how it... Okay.
Go on.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Can you figure out the mystery if I told you if the game's going to be 5 hours or if it's going to be 20 hours? Can you figure out the mystery, Adnan? Can you figure it out?
No, but I know why they're not saying it, because if they say what it is, then people won't buy it because of how long the game is. That's why they're worried about it.
But they're saying that it's... Okay. It would be, but we let you know most of the stuff we've been shared is been calling spoiling game, but barely scratches the surface of the first 2 episodes. Bull crap. Bull crap. How... Okay, so first... Oh, my God, dude. Oh, my God. Okay. Okay.
By the way,
okay,
as well,
okay.
why don't you show the rest of the game? Why are you just showing the first 2 chapters? That is not how marketing works.
So,
and I'll say this as well.
So how is it? Okay. So once again, Duck Detective, in their marketing, they said it was a 2 to 3 hour experience. Can you figure out the mystery of Duck Detective if it was 2 to 3 hours? No, you can't. But that's the thing. If it's 20 hours, it's part of the marketing. You're saying, let's go to the next one, where you said that the comment was, like, oh man, you're spoiling a lot of the game. Oh, pardon us for marketing the game we're trying to sell. Bro, how many times have we heard from a marketing team how long a game is? Many, many times. Once again, Duck Detective said it was 2 to 3 hours long. Spider-Man, right? When that was marketed, it was said to be 15 to 20 hours, I think they said. Yeah. Even Red Dead Redemption 2 said how long is the game's going to be. There have been many times, many different occasions where part of the marketing was saying how long the game is expected to be. Even better example, like what you just said, Michelle Coe has put out there how long the game will be. This is not spoiling the game. You will not figure out the murder mystery based on how many hours the game is, because once again, I will not stress this enough. Please play Duck Detective. It's such a good game. It's 2 to 3 hours. You will not solve the mystery. It's so good. But anyways, so to say that it would be spoiling the game, but in your marketing, you're spoiling the game. Okay? When your entire fan base is saying you're spoiling the game, like, ooh, well, you don't even know. But we do know way too much. We know way too much. And going back to the TikTok one, where it's saying, sorry for marketing the game. Spoiling your game is not marketing, my guy. Agreed. It's spoiling your game is not marketing. Once again, we've learned way too much. There's no more mystery anymore. Your whole okay. So if your marketing is that it's a murder mystery, and you're already giving us a suspect list before the mystery even happens, before we even see the murder, how is that marketing the murder mystery?
We know how the murder happened as well. So there's no mystery behind the murder happens.
So the murder is here. And then you already give us a suspect list. And then you're telling people to pay $80 to solve the mystery even earlier. How is that marketing your game?
By
No,
the way, Adam, as well.
Yeah.
As well, because I saw someone say this as a take as well. They were like, they're not spoiling the game because they're showing only certain parts of it. They're not going to show more than because do you when there's an interview with Stouder where he says like what you've seen so far is only surface level, so you've not even seen half the stuff that's going to come in the game. Okay. And someone said like you're hiding all the other stuff, and that's part of marketing. You won't give all the content away. However, that's not how marketing works. So, for example, let me give you an example for this. Japanese publisher Konami, Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out. Kojima shows you the end of Metal Gear Solid 5 in one of the trailers. It's in the trailer. There's in a trailer of a scene where the ending of Metal Gear Solid 5 is in it, but there's no context of it. So you have no idea what's happening with that. So context is nothing with it. And even the stuff they keep showing, I'm like, why are you not showing us the rest of the game? Why are you not showing us? I'm kind of like, why is it not being shown? It's like everything from there that we've seen so far screams the first 2 chapters. Just from what I can see as well, it looks first 2 chapters based. Why is nothing else being shown? Even if you're saying you're trying to hide the mystery, it's like, no, that's not how it works because there's something else here. You showed all kinds of stuff from True Colors. When each episode of Life is Strange 1 was coming out, you showed content leading up to it because you obviously had to tease it because people wanted to see it. So it's like, hang on a minute, this is like just a little bit. I'm kind of a bit like, I was reading that. I was like, why are you being snarky about to people? I'm like, it might be tongue in cheek.
It is absolutely, it's not respecting the community. And once again, my brain is breaking because they think that sharing how long the game is going to spoil the game.
Yeah.
You before you even buy a game, at least for me and many other people I know about, before they buy a game, they go on one single website. What's the website?
How long to be?
Bang. We all just want to see how much time we need to commit to the game. Is spoiling a book saying, hey, it's 350 pages. Oh, I already solved the mystery. How is saying the length spoilery? In what God's green earth, Cthulhu's green earth, is... It's not spoiling it.
It's marketing. As well, like, and to add on what you say as well for general context as well. The first question, if I ask you something, you recommend it to me, the likelihood someone's going to be like, how long's the game? Or how long's the movie?
Game?
Everyone asks it because everyone wants to know how much time they commit to it. It's not going to be like, oh, if it's 30 minutes, oh, I'm not going to do it.
That's literally why I haven't played Persona 5 because, dude, I can't. 200 hours, dude. I'm not going to do that. But if you tell me that Duck Detective is 3 hours long, guess where I'm going, buddy? I'm being the Duck Detective. Okay?
By the way, as well, the conversations aren't even against the people who have like commented. It's just the replies. I think the replies from the Life is Strange Twitter account has summed up Square Enix's marketing stuff, and I find it just very just tone deaf. That not read the room, not reading.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Asking.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Speaking of aneurysm, because we're heading towards the finish line, should we go into our next piece of news? You can have an aneurysm during this as well. If you want.
One last
it's a little
thing.
Bit different.
At Loud Moons, God bless you once again. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for answering. I love you. God bless you, Loud Moons. Okay, God bless you. You're so nice. You're such a good person. Another person saying based, but yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't get when people saying based. I'm like, it's not really like a shot fired at people. You're trying to sell a game to people. At least the other person who's asking, like Loud Moons, is asking politely and is asking a general question which most people want.
Like, how is anyways, yeah, go for it.
Should we go to our next piece of news? Because this is a little bit different, Adam, actually, than we usually do. But I mentioned it to you and you were like, what's happened here? So this again goes to our favorite publisher of the Life is Strange series, which is Square Enix. And this was about Astrobots. This is on Eurogamer. So I'll read it out here. It says, Astrobot Studio finds it, quote, unquote, difficult to comment on, end quote, why Square Enix characters were notably absent. So let me just read you this. So it's Vicky Blake says, Team Asobi says it that while, quote unquote, almost 100%, end quote, of its most wish-listed iconic Sony characters made it into Astrobox, it find it, quote unquote, difficult to comment, end quote, why Square Enix characters were missing. Talking to journalist Stephen Totillo, Team Asobi studio head Nicholas Duquette said that despite hoping that, quote unquote, maybe half, end quote, of the characters the team approached would be greenlit, most, quote unquote, partners just raised their hands and said, absolutely, end quote. However, not all the characters on the list made it in. When asked why there was no Final Fantasy VII's Cloud cameo, for instance, or indeed anyone from Nier or Kingdom Hearts, Duquette simply said it, quote unquote, really respects the choice of each publisher, end quote. Duquette said, and I quote, "It's difficult to comment on why Square Enix didn't approve any cameos. We really respect the choice of each publisher," end quote. Acknowledging the delicate balance between accessible characters that almost all players would recognize and quote unquote deep cuts, end quote, that fewer people may remember, Duquette said that the team would have accepted that, quote unquote, at that point. You're talking to less people, end quote, but wanted to include more obscure characters because the players that know them, quote unquote, may have the fondest memories, end quote. So I'm going to close that there. So again, Adam, from Square Enix's perspective, it's just it's all fitted in legend. It's all happened at the same time. I can't really.
I'm gonna die in this studio. Like I'm actually gonna die in this chair.
Well, my point is that
it's like a very comfortable chair, mind you. I got it from Office Max. It's just a regular. What is it?
Nice.
Yeah, it's
nice.
There you go. Yeah. RS. It's pretty comfortable. It's comfortable. It does this.
Well,
but I'm gonna die in this comfortable chair.
I wasn't going to allude on this like too much for a topic. I just include it because like we don't really do a lot of Square Enix stuff in general in terms of like outside of Life is Strange, but we have like warned people repeatedly in terms of like their financials, and then also people who've worked with them. For example, with Dontnod, remember Oscar Gilbert talking about the contracts that they had, and I just don't understand why Square Enix does it. Like why, for example, even like Cloud Strife, Tifa, the iconic Final Fantasy VII characters, they're so associated with PlayStation. They're even releasing it as exclusives on PlayStation.
Yeah, like Kingdom Hearts. It's a great example. Like Kingdom Hearts, man. But it's like Square Enix is just being a nightmare lately. Lately. What am I talking about?
It's just weird.
Yeah. Dude, I can't. I can't, man. I can't. Like, what is wrong with you, Square?
I don't know.
There you are, right here. Doop, doop, doop. What is wrong with you? Why? We're celebrating PlayStation here, and you cannot manage to get one single IP onto this. If you just put on Nier, that's kind of an insult, but fine. If that's the only one you put in, fine. But I love you, Asobi, saying like, "Oh, we respect Asobi." By the way, located in Japan.
Yeah.
Where else is what else is located in Japan? Square Enix. And I know that there's a Japanese culture that they don't like to work with Western marketing. Yeah. I understand that. There's a thing. That's funny. Wait, what did I just say? That Asobi is located in? Is it located in America? Where's Asobi located?
In JAP.
In Japan. That's not working in the Western market.
Because Adam as well, the irony for me, which makes me laugh even more, is that Final Fantasy VII characters didn't make it into the game, but then they released Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth as exclusives on PlayStation first. And now there's a potential they're moving on to other platforms, but they're re-released on PlayStation.
But you can't put it on Asobi.
Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced on the E3 press conference floor at Sony. It's like...
I'm going to die in this chair, dude.
We're going to move on from this, Adam, because I don't want to focus too much on it, because we basically spent about an hour and 40 minutes. Like,
I'm going to die in the studio. It's going to happen.
So
why is Kendrick Lamar trending on Twitter?
For context, guys, we've cut the main topic out as well, because basically we've had so many news pieces. And Adam, should we run through the last couple of pieces? Just like run through them fast time, just get people up to scratch with things.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Kendrick Lamar is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime.
Adam,
what?
Focus.
Huh? No,
Kendrick is not. Kendrick is
always on the main topic. What are you talking about?
Adam, let's go through a quick piece of news, and then we'll go into the rest of our show and sign off. So obviously, lovely cat interview that we had with Hannah Tell. The cat content was BT's, but I love this interview. I really enjoyed seeing Hannah there. Bless her as well. So just wanted to kind of fill you in on things that you might have missed in the week, which are worth notable here. And so that was the cat content with Hannah. And then also as well here, Hannah's cat, Miso, was on the set of motion capture, which is adorable. I love Hannah. Hannah has a collection of cats. And yeah, Miso is a lovely name for that as well. And such a great thingy.
What a pretty cat.
Any Hannah Tell content has been great content for the marketing. That's all I'm going to say. Here as well, Life is Strange is heading to New York Comic Con as well. So John Stauder, Felicia Kwan there as well, as they've been on for a lot of it. And then obviously Hannah Tell is going to be there with Blue Allen. Blue Allen is Moses Murphy. Hannah's obviously Max. And then John Stauder and Felicia Kwan are the game director and narrative director respectively. So that is happening at New York Comic Con for you guys to keep an eye out on. And then also as well, we got here as well from Life is Strange that they're heading to PAX Australia as well. I didn't know there's PAX Australia, but yes, they are heading to PAX Australia. So that's giving you another heads up there. Again, these are just filling you in on pieces of news that we've happened in the week. And where is the other one? Because I can't be missing this one. Well, I've got a screen share from you. What are you doing here?
Miso.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just want to share Miso. I just want to shout out Miso one more time. That's all.
Miso's the real G of this. And then obviously as well, I'm going to put it in here as well, Adam. Big shout out to one of our favorites, Kylie Brown, who had her birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday!
Turned 26 years old. God, I feel old when I see her age as well. Every time, it's like she was 19 when I interviewed her. So every time I see Kylie, it just makes me feel older and older. But yeah, happy birthday to Kylie Brown as well. We love her. And then finally, Adam as well. It was the week of the storm. So this week actually marked the date we fell on, with Max saying that the tornado was coming on October 11th. It happened on Friday on October 11th.
You know,
Life
it's
is Strange events played out.
I had every intention on playing Life is Strange this week. I had every single intention. And then because I believe it was Life is 2D pointed it out on Twitter. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize it lined up. I didn't play Life is Strange this week, and I'm very disappointed in myself because it's one of the only times that we'll ever get that. You know?
But did you put this tweet out, Adam?
Huh? Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Oh yeah. Happy October. Oh my god, dude.
At the time, look at the time. Oh, we need to tweet about this.
9 p.m., dude. Cool.
Whilst Donald went all out and like put like little things here and there. Right, Adam. I think we need to like move on because I think there's been too much Square Enix bashing among many other things.
My neck veins are going to pop out.
Yeah,
dude.
Which I think we'll move. Should we move into comment on the podcast because this is very short and I think it was a nice introductory for our first person here that making it. So this comes from Mim Crisis 848 what? Mim Chris 8481 who said always interesting to listen to you guys' perspective. Glad I found this channel some weeks ago because of Lost Records, Bloom Rage. You have very grounded but honest views. Looking forward to the next video. Thank you so much. That is a really nice comment, and thank you for your
I hope you enjoyed this episode where I'm just stressing my brain out. So thanks, Mim Chris.
It's going to be the next episode. It's going to be Mim Chris is on there. I hate you guys. Come to the podcast. I'm like, well,
Adam, calm down. You're going to die.
Well, at least I'll take it though. We've got 2 weeks of good fan service there from Mim Chris, which I'm all happy for. So thank you for the comment though as well. It's always
appreciate
nice
you,
to see
man.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have differing opinions. Some people will agree with what we've been saying about Life is Strange, Square Enix. As I said to you again before, enjoy the game if you want to play it. Enjoy whatever you see in it, and we're not telling you not to buy it. We're just I've always said this is from a critical perspective and commentating perspective. So as you will, Adam, spread the arts.
Yes, you can
go first.
You can go first.
Okay, so I'm going to fire off some films that you need to watch because spread the spooky arts.
Okay.
So recommendations for horror films: the first Saw, Halloween, Alien.
Okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hellraiser, anything that's from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, go and watch because I love October. And this is why I'm bringing the vibe, which is I love October. I love anything to do with Halloween. So my schedule for the next 2 weeks is going to be packed with a variation of horror films. So I've got a variation of those kind of films. Go and watch Hellraisers as well. I love that. It's one of my favorite horror franchises. Scream, etc.
Yes.
So we are celebrating spread the spooky arts. My spread the awareness is to go and watch horror films, as many as you can, because there are a lot of them, and I'm going to point you to the 80s and 90s, because they are the iconic parts of the genre. Even the 70s, if you want to make it as well, get some 70 horror films in there, because it's spread the spooky art season. So that's my pick.
I will name 2 movies and then something spooky that I have encountered. So 2 movies, specifically The Ghoul from, I believe, 1934. I want to say 1934, which has Boris Karloff, which, if you don't know who Boris Karloff is, the original animation of the Grinch movie.
Nice.
As Boris Karloff movie. So if you really want to go into backtrack of how horror movies were made in black and white, I believe it was in 1934 that it was made. It's called The Ghoul. Really interesting perspective. As well as a movie from 1960, which is called The City of the Dead, where it takes place in a fictional place in Massachusetts called Whitewood. And a student goes over to study witchcraft, and she finds out that there is a lot of evil that has been taken into the city. So we need to find out how we can rid of the world of the City of the Dead, what that takes place. So it's a 1960 movie called The City of the Dead, and also The Ghoul. So check out those movies. They're both on YouTube if you want to check them out, because they are public domain. So you can find them on YouTube. So now the one spooky thing that I've encountered was the horrors of game development. Ooh, spooky. For I have read or listened to the audiobook of Play Nice, a new book from Jason Schreier about the rise, the fall, and the future of Blizzard Entertainment. Ooh. What a great book, dude. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah.
It is. Bro, when I was reading it, I was hopeful and expecting that, like, oh man, like Bobby Kotick is the reason why Blizzard is so bad. Dude, even from what's that?
Tip of the iceberg.
It's, dude, like, from the very foundation of the company, from the very first game, like the very first day one, it was built on toxic behavior, dude. And there is absolutely zero redemption for Blizzard in this book. It is insanely such a wild story, because we all knew that Blizzard was toxic, just as toxic as Riot was. But the detail that Jason Schreier goes into on this book, it gives you, like, yeah, you can say that Blizzard is toxic, but the level of toxicity, like, for the fact that a lot of the arguments when Blizzard was first made, it was made into Chaos Studios. And the reason why they made it Chaos Studios is because they had literal fist fights in making developments of games, like actual bro dudes pounding beers and then having fist fights in the office. There was one fist fight that was so bad in the office, it started with shoving, and then ended up being a fist fight in 10 different rooms of an office building, getting multiple people involved. And this was at like a midnight Christmas event. Like, they were just having a good time, like a little Christmas party, and they had a fist fight that ended up being in 10 different rooms of the office. So that Blizzard in this book, and then it goes from day one from the time this book was published, which is 2024. So it goes into the Activision decision. It goes into how Bobby Kotick. It even goes into how Bobby Kotick became Activision and the undermining that he had to do with stock trades and having to hostile takeover, and how Phil Spencer took over Blizzard. It's just, please pick up this book, Play Nice, because my God, it is just such a chaotic reporting of how Blizzard was made and the future of it. So definitely check out this book.
I always say that when Jason Schreier publishes something, you should sit up and read it because he's that good of a journalist. And even as well, funnily enough as well, I think, for example, his reporting is about 50 times better than, for example, what we saw at the IGN article about Deck Nine and Square Enix. Because as I've spoken to you about before, I've found things which are a bit nitpicky with that article.
Yes.
But like when Schreier reports something, Schreier does like a lot of things where it's like he speaks to people. Like his work on crunch culture is already big enough. And then when you, for example, he's doing exposés, as you've seen there with Blizzard, it's just like that's already foundation point for him. So it's like he'll basically get the rest of what he does. But yeah, it's outstanding. So yeah, it's 100% worthwhile for a recommendation. I know it's not obviously spooky per se.
Oh, it's spooky, all right. The game development spooks.
But I remember when you mentioned when you saw it, I was like, yeah, actually, he's going to recommend this. But yeah, it's a worthwhile recommendation. He's very good. Like I always say, games industry biz or like as a source of news is great, and then also Jason Schreier as well for game reporting is outstanding. So definitely worth doing that. But Adam, let's call it a day here because we've been talking for a while. I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know what you think about Square Enix's marketing. Let us know how you feel about it. How you've reacted to this episode because obviously it's been quite heavy. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. If you are new here, as always, please do consider dropping a subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share your friends. Helps support the channel, helps keep up to date with the content as well. And also, StrangeCast available on all podcast services, so you can go and check us out on there, download us, rate us. Please do as well. It just support the channel. As I said again as well, please be wary of spoilers. Do not post spoilers. They are going to get removed from the channel because people don't have instant access, and we are not going to be posting any spoilers related to this. You'll know that. We'll be back later this month, I believe, as well, Adam, actually. Yeah, we're back later this month. Yeah, we'll be back just before the end of the month, before Halloween as well. So we'll be talking then. I think we'll both have Life is Strange as well. So we might be early into it as well. So we'll let you know what we think as well. What's that face about?
Oh, spooky.
Yeah, so, well, actually, yeah. So I think when we come out, I think we're just coming out on the tip of Life is Strange coming out. So maybe we'll give you a bit of early impressions, but there'll obviously be a bigger topic in terms of like news, a review that we'll do in November. So don't worry about that. But yeah, we're not covering spoilers. We're not doing any of that. So please be very mindful of other people because this channel and all our pages won't be posting them. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have been playing it, discuss in safer places among places where you can speak about it. But yeah, stay tuned. Lost Records Journal is up next week. Until then, take care, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.